So, one of MAGA's biggest talking points for years has been the First Amendment, freedom of speech, and they have always claimed that the left was coming after them to try to silence them and shut them down. Sometimes we would see them being fact checked, and they would say, if you fact check me, you're trying to silence me, you're trying to shut down my opinion. They never fully understood the First Amendment argument. They never really fully understood free speech, and I won't dive all into that. What I'd like to talk about today is not their misunderstanding of free speech, but how that when they say they want free speech, what they actually mean is we want to be able to say what we say without any consequences. We don't want anyone out there to ever disagree with the word we say, but we are absolutely going to shut down anyone who disagrees with us. So whenever they try to make the argument, look, hey, we're all for free speech, even if it is hate speech, it's still free speech and everybody has the right to speak their mind, they only mean people who align with them. If you don't align with them, they do not care one bit if you get canceled or shut down. As a matter of fact, they'll celebrate it. They'll sit back and laugh at Stephen Colbert getting canceled. They'll think that's cool. But if President Biden had have ever went out and bragged about getting Jesse Waters canceled, or could you imagine if he'd have went out and canceled Tony Hinchcliffe, what a fit Joe Rogan and all the MAGA trolls would have threw over that? So I'm going to be playing you a couple of clips here from the FCC chair, Brendan Carr. He just goes ahead and says right out loud that, yeah, we need to change the narrative that these people are speaking. We need to, basically what he's saying here, folks, you can listen to it for yourself, but the way I hear this is, yeah, they have free speech, but we're going to reshape things and we're going to dictate what they say. Take a look.
Let's just go ahead and get it out of the way. Did President Trump have anything to do with the cancellation of Stephen Colbert's show?
Well, here's what's important to keep in mind is a broader dynamic. When President Trump ran for election, he ran right at these legacy broadcast media outfits and the New York and Hollywood elites that are behind it, and he smashed the facade that these are gatekeepers that can control what Americans think and what Americans can say. And once you do that, you've exposed the business model of a lot of these outfits as being nothing more than a partisan circus. And so I think there's a lot of consequences that are flowing from President Trump deciding, I'm not going to play by the rules of politicians in the past and let these legacy outfits dictate the narratives in the terms of the debate. And he's succeeding. Just look at what's happening. NPR has been defunded. PBS has been defunded. Colbert is getting cancer. You've got anchors and news media personalities losing their jobs. Again, all of this is downstream of President Trump's decision to stand up. And he stood up for the American people because the American people do not trust these legacy gatekeepers anymore. And all of this, I think, is consequences of that broader dynamic.
Okay, I asked you a very direct question. I did not hear a yes or a no in your answer. I heard a maybe.
Yeah, ultimately, these are business decisions for CBS to make and for these outfits to make. And I'm, shocked at the type of stuff that you just played. They don't find to be in their profitable business interests.
Okay, folks, there is so much to unpack in that response that I don't really know if I'll be able to do it justice, but I'm really going to try with you. And the way I'm going to start is by, first of all, just going right to the Constitution of the United States of America. And yes, I keep a copy laying here on my desk because since Trump came along, I've read it more and studied it more and read more books about it than I ever have because of his attempt to absolutely shred it on a daily basis. So if we just go to the First Amendment, we can start there debunking this ridiculous statement that Carr made right there. So Amendment 1 that was proposed in 1789 and ratified in 1791, Congress shall make no law respecting an establishment of religion or prohibiting the free exercise thereof or abridging the freedom of speech or of the press, now here comes, or of the right of the people to assemble and to petition the government for a redress of grievances. So what he's basically saying right there is, we have to reshape this. Trump ran right at the elites. Trump's not going to play by the rules. He's going to run right at them, and he's going to make them pay the price because we don't agree with what they're saying, and we're afraid what they're saying is going to influence the American people. Well, guess what? They still have a right under this Constitution to say what they want to say and put it out there in the world. Now, the people are free to get behind it or not. That's a completely different discussion. What Donald Trump is doing is saying, hey, we're going to get in there. And he's saying it right there out loud. They're proud that they defunded NPR and PBS. They're proud that they've got these people fired. They're proud that they've shut them down because they say that the American people doesn't trust the mainstream media. Well, folks, I agree with that. There's a whole lot of people, myself included, that don't trust the mainstream media. That's why I'm sitting here in this chair doing what I do. And that's why that I watch mostly independent news sources for my news, because yeah, we're sick of the mainstream media, but it's not the president's place to get in and start telling media and journalists and comedians what they can and can't talk about and use the excuse, well, it's because the American people don't trust the mainstream media. Well, guess what, Brendan Carr? I don't trust Donald Trump and his administration. I don't trust this radical right-wing agenda that they're trying to push on everybody. They're trying to weaponize the Constitution. They're trying to weaponize the Bible against everyone that they disagree with and everyone they hate. So no, I don't want no part of MAGA. I don't want no part of Donald Trump. And I don't want him to be the one shutting down anyone that disagrees with him and putting out his narrative into the world, because I don't trust him. So if you want to say, if the excuse you're using for shutting down comedians and late night shows and NPR and PBS is because you don't agree with what they're saying and you don't trust them, to turn around and say, we're going to let Donald Trump be the one to say it, then I'm saying to you that I don't trust him. But in this next clip, when Carr is pressed about Colbert being a comedian, he just doubles down. Take a look.
And you keep talking about journalism and fairness in news, but I guess where is that line between, we all remember Carson and Jay Leno giving Reagan the business. So where does that fit into this discussion?
Well, I think that's what's interesting about all of this is these late night shows, not just the late night shows, but across the board, they have such a storied history, and it's sort of sad to see what's happening to Colbert. They obviously can't get it done. They're not making money over there. But I think they need a course correction. And frankly, I think the media industry across this country needs a course correction. Again, the American people simply do not trust the mainstream media. And for broadcasters, again, different than cable, different than podcasts, for broadcasters, they have a federal license and they are obligated to operate in the public interest. And to the extent that we're starting to see some changes, I think that's a good thing. And frankly, I think it will help restore some of the trust that's been lost with the American people.
So he keeps saying that they need a course correction. Well, if that's the case, what he's saying is that he wants Donald Trump to be the one that corrects it. And I hate when they throw around the phrase, the American people. And Mike Johnson loves to say it that, well, the American people. Vance loves it. The American people, the American people. I am part of the American people, and I have built a platform that is closing in on 800,000 subscribers, and we're the American people too, who are sick and tired of this administration, and we really enjoyed PBS, and we really enjoyed NPR, and we really enjoyed Stephen Colbert. The idea that he comes along and says, we're going to do a course correction here, we're going to make sure that they change it up and say what we want them to say, is straight up fascism. It's straight up the government controlling everything. Look, if they don't want to watch Stephen Colbert, how about this? How about they don't watch it? Or how about Donald Trump not be such a fragile little bitch? How about that? How about he not look over at a comedian and feel so threatened by them that he takes pride in shutting them down and can't wait to shut the next one out? He says Jimmy Kimmel's going to be next. He can't wait. He's all excited about it. And we've never seen this. I saw a meme floating around that showed Dana Carvey doing his, who also did George H.W. Bush, but he did Biden as well. And it showed a picture of him, and it said, do you all remember when Joe Biden threw a hissy fit and had SNL canceled? No, me neither. That's because most presidents have always looked over at satire and realized that it's just part of American history and has been since the beginning of time. They was writing satirical articles and satirical cartoons during the Founding Fathers' days. It's something that's always been around, and we've never had a president. Actually, we did. We had Richard Nixon. You can go here on YouTube. I can't show this video. I tried once, and I got hit with a copyright claim, so I can't play the video. But you can find the videos of Richard Nixon talking about the show All in the Family and how that they had to get it off the air because he said it's making me look like an idiot. Well, that's what satire is. It's the use of humor, irony, and exaggeration to expose the stupidity of someone's beliefs. And we believe that Trump and his beliefs and his ideology is not only stupid, but it's dangerous. And according to the Constitution, we have a right to express that. And people and journalists have a right to express that. and he needs to just grow up and move on. I'm going to play you just a few minutes from a clip here. I hope I can play this one, because even George W. Bush, who I'm not a fan of, and I'm not trying to give George W. Bush a pass for being a terrible president, but even he could look over at an impersonator and have a sense of humor. And I'm going to play this to make a point. He invited him to a correspondence dinner. They stand here side by side. Take a look at this. This happened, and George Bush didn't call for this guy to be fired.
Members of the White House Correspondents Association, distinguished guests, ladies and gentlemen, here I am. Here I am at another one of these dang press dinners. Could be home asleep. Little Barney curled up at my feet. But no, I gotta pretend I like being here. The media really ticks me off. The way they try to embarrass me by not editing what I say. Well, let's get things going or I'll never get to bed. Thank you, Mark. I'm absolutely delighted to be here.
I just wanted to play that to show you that even George W. Bush, who is one of my least favorite presidents of all time, even he could have a sense of humor, invite the dude there. The dude made fun of him to his face, and he was okay. And he went on about his day. And he was a terrible president, but he went on about his day. The fact that Donald Trump even cares, to me, just shows a weakness. Even if I was a Republican, I guarantee you that if I had been a Republican, then I would have been in the Rhino department now, because there's no way I could have rolled with that. And there's so much stuff that would have made me walk away from Donald Trump a long time ago. However, at the top of that list would have to be, dude, why are you so fragile that you can't stand a comedian to make a joke about you? But it's bigger than that. It's about the fact that they say, according to Brendan Carr, it all needs a course correction. We need to get in here, and even though these shows are popular, and even though they've got an audience, and even though they have a First Amendment right to say what they want to say, we have to change their direction, because we say what the American people wants. We say what the American people should hear. It's this simple. You put out your Joe Rogans, we'll put out our Stephen Colbert's, we'll put out our Midas Touch networks, and people can decide for themselves. Now, if somebody is out there doing something that deserves to be brought down, there have been people in the past that have done stuff that absolutely, yeah, get that maniac off the air. We'll decide that when it happens. But you decide it when it happens. You don't have a president dictating who watches what. What Donald Trump and Brendan Carr and everyone basically is saying here is, we want state-ran media. We want it to flow right with our way of thinking, and anyone that steps outside that box, we're going to crush them. So whenever you're in a comment section or you're at work and you're arguing with some MAGA troll and they say they're about free speech and they've been silenced, well, first of all, ask them, when they say, I've been silenced, what was you silenced for? Did you say the earth was flat on Facebook or something? Did you use the N-word in the comment section on Twitter? Is that why you got a warning? Because if you did, that's got nothing to do with free speech. You were on their platform. You said something. They had a right to speak out against it. What MAGA is saying is, we want to be the biggest cruel assholes we can possibly be. We want to face absolutely zero accountability. Don't no one hold us to no standard. Don't hold us to no standard. And shut down anyone that disagrees with us, and we will only accept news that filters through Donald Trump. That's what they're saying. So don't ever believe them when they tell you that they're about the First Amendment, they're about freedom of speech. It's bullshit. They're not. They never have been either. It's always been, everything with them is always projection, and everything with them is always a self-righteous act that has no substance to it whatsoever. And just always keep that in mind. But folks, I truly do appreciate all of you for your support here on the channel. I hope everyone has a great day and has a great week. I know we got a lot going on. There's plenty to cover. I've got more subjects I'm going to be talking about, and I'm also amping it up over on Patreon. So if you get a chance to check out our Patreon, be sure and do so. We're going to be bringing some exclusive content over there that I do believe y'all are going to enjoy. I've got some good guests lined up, and we're going to be talking about all sorts of things as we try to make our way through this world. And I have people all the time, say, Brando, do you worry about being shut down? Yeah, of course we do. All of us do. We're all aware of it. We all realize the dark cloud that now hangs over our head. We realize the dictator that we have, and we realize that he has an audience that would absolutely gleefully love to see us all torn down. But we're never going to back down. We're never going to stop. We're going to keep sticking together. And I truly am of the belief that when they come for one, they come for us all. That's why we need to pay attention to NPR and PBS and Stephen Colbert, because, yeah, when they come for one, they come for us all, and we have to always stand together.